Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel and Knack of Design. I am continuing my mission of, trying to wind down 2024, trying to gear up for 2025, organizing, repurposing, use it, don't store it. And part of that process involves cleaning out the fridge as well. Because, of course, when I make any sort of a dye mixture, whether it's beets, avocados, a purple cabbage, I don't fool around with a little teeny bit. I make it worth my while. So I think it's months ago, I made beet ink and did a video on it. If I can, I will link it. And so this little jar has been in the fridge. Like I just used this funnel to fill this spray bottle. Anyway, so there wasn't much in there. I was pleasantly surprised that there wasn't any mold or anything on it. It doesn't smell off. And so I gave it a shake. There was not a lot of sediment or anything either. And using a household funnel, which, this is all edible, so I don't see any problem with doing that. I put some in this spray bottle. And let's just hope this spray bottle works, because, not every spray bottle works. When I had watched Caroline's craft tree video and all the beautiful dyeing she did, of course, what I had to do was rush out and order several spray bottles, because come hell or high water, I will do that. I will do that project. Anyway, at the time of the Beet ink video, I obviously played around a bit. So I would have used a pipette, I'm sure. For this is some really old paper. It's not rag paper, but it's nice paper. And because I love this color, I like this. But again, this is probably not complete. This is a piece of watercolor that was from a wedding or some kind of an invitation kit. Now I would tear off or cut off this green deckled edge, because I don't want it there. So you can see that I had done, so I probably had used a brush here, and then I used obviously something that bled. So it might have been okay, I don't think it was a Stabilo all, because it would have bled more. So I think it was probably a non-permanent marker, something fairly fine, because look how tiny and thin some of those lines are. So I think there are definite possibilities here. Then I had, surprisingly enough, I had a master board, just a black and white master board. And here I would have, I'm sure, used a pipette to just, again, spread some color throughout the picture plane. So what I have done is, well, obviously brought these pieces here and with the intention of either adding another layer. I have my fan brush. I have one of my favorite other round brush. I have the spray bottle, and I have a pipette ready to go. So maybe and I've tried to sort of protect my area a bit here with this plastic tablecloth. Maybe let's try that book page. And I also, maybe I should show you that before I get started. I have this pouch that I keep watercolor scraps in. Now, obviously, some of these are bigger than scrap. Some of them are 9 by 12 pieces. Now, I didn't bother writing down, you know, the paper, the brand, the weight, or anything like that. This is 9 by 12. I have some arches, which I would think is close to 300 pounds. And I mean, it's the good stuff. Didn't do a very good job of tearing there. There is an art to tearing heavy watercolor paper, by the way. This is something different. I don't even know if this probably isn't even watercolor paper. Or if it is, it's really quite different. I have, clearly I have things that I've cut out of previous work. I have some playing around stuff that I obviously didn't care for and didn't finish. But the beauty of watercolor paper is, well, you can always cover it with acrylic, or you can, you know, use the other side, whatever. Now, I must have had a bigger piece that I, again, didn't like, so cut that into quadrants so that can be used. I have these, and I think the reason I have so many in this size is because in 2020, Hazelanaga Design, or HA Design 2020, I think that was a project that I was following along with the, here's another started painting, with the Tamara, I think that's how she says it, Tamara, at Willowing. Oh, I also have this, which would have, doesn't say the weight, but that's not too bad, that would have come in a instructional book and the pad. Oh, here's a whole whack more of those invitations. I'm not even sure what some of this is. Oh, a swatch chart, but that's acrylic. And different ratios of what I, okay. So, needless to say, this is another one of those art supplies that has cost some money and has been sitting for far too long. And you can see that because it's precious stuff, you know, you never throw it away. So I could use these strips if there were enough of kind of a uniform size. I could use them to make a little mini books. I could use some of these wider you know, this could probably make 2 ATCs. So there are a few that are kind of that width. Because typically when you start out with a piece of watercolor paper, unless you're deliberately, you know, shaking things up, chances are you're going to stick to some basic sizes so that when it turns out beautifully and you want to frame it, you're not, you know, being held hostage to pay to get it framed. A slight drawing of some kind on here, but what the heck is it? No clue. There is also these 2 feathers. I don't know, you can probably barely see that. I did this for myself, which I never finished, and another one for Hillary in her colors, which of course I did finish and is, you know, has been at her place now for a few years. Anyway, what I did here, this was supposed to be a calendar, so each of these represents a different month. Canmore timeshare. I obviously ripped off whatever I had Okay, COVID-19 changes the world forever. Physical distancing, staying home. March 6th, my birthday. Oh, yes. Oh, and this would have been held together with a ring because everyone has it. COVID-19 can change everything. Bobbers and Bush's Council. Epiphany instead of... Oh, that's a little personal. Anyway, these pages can obviously be reused since I took the book apart. So let me just move this out of the way and get to the business at hand. And I guess, oops, some leaves. I guess that, you know, it's one of those things. And it depends on what a person's final intentions are, and budget, and all of that jazz. So a person could either be using the best material you can afford, and the remote chance that something very beautiful emerges. Okay, come on, you can do it. Or create art on any kind of substrate, any kind of a surface. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just doing. Look at how perfect those guys are. They seem to be kind of sitting on the surface, don't they? Dare I make the move? Look at them. Look at them jiggling like a bowl full of jelly. Now the unfortunate part about using, you know, materials that are inferior or non-archival, hey, this almost looks like it could be part of a paisley shape, is that in case by some miracle it turns out so beautifully, it's not going to last. It will degrade over time. So, you know, it's a bit of whoopsie. That's not exactly a round one, is it? I cannot believe that those guys are staying. They're not dispersing or anything. Now this, of course, is not exactly a paisley shape. I can't. Oh my goodness, that makes me laugh. And I guess if we can laugh in the creation in the course of our day, then we should. I might have to just, if these guys stay intact, I just might have to, whoopsie. I might have to just put them aside. I'm almost out of, and just, oh, that bled. See, you know, be patient and see what happens, like a science experiment or something. Oopsie. So I'm just going to put that off to the side. Clearly that is not, maybe I should do another section. Or do I? Or do I? And again, remember, this is just book page. Can I do a very tiny? That one's almost translucent. Whoa. These drops are a little too big for the space available. Okay, let's see what happens if I use the fan brush, say on this one. And you know, sometimes you get more on yourself than you do on the object at hand. That looks very dilute for some reason. I wonder if it, see, doesn't it almost look a bit like, almost like a burnt red compared to the pinkiness of those stripes? So again, this is fairly cautious. I'm being fairly cautious here. Probably going far too far with this. I didn't bring my toilet paper. Well, that's fine. We don't have to worry about it drying on the brush. Put this aside. Now, what happens if I spray this one? And this is where we see if these bottles were worth anything. Well, that's quite a nice mist. Now, of course, where the droplets are hitting almost cream paper, they're going to look different than where they're hitting, you know, a dark area or a more saturated area. Be interesting to see if that reactivates whatever black marker that was. I can smell vinegar, so clearly that was part of what helped. Part of what helped this stay good in the fridge all this time. Now, I remember saying in that original Beet ink video that this is a fugitive dye. It will fade if exposed to light. So, you know, in a journal, it's not going to really make much difference because typically a book, you know, would be closed, and we don't typically lay our books out in the open. So I don't have any. Oh yeah, I do have my jar of water here. Typically, you know, it's not going to be color fast. So if the sun is hitting it, it will fade or change in color. So just to be aware of that. I'm going to treat, whoops, am I strong enough to open this? Ah, yes. I'm going to treat this as though it were paint. Let's just maybe wet an area or two. And see what we can get going here. Now, this paper is not the heaviest in the world, but it's really quite the thing to watch this, isn't it? Now, again, you know, this is it's not artist quality pigment whatsoever. So a person could be spending a lot of time creating something and then find out that, you know, it didn't hold up over time. Or you could just have a wonderful afternoon playing with something new. So you can see how the edges there are a lot softer and more diffuse than they are here, where I was putting this into onto dry paper. It's also interesting to see how it settles out. Like I said, there didn't seem to be any sediment at the bottom of the little jar. But clearly something is happening there. Now, if you don't like these sorts of things, then before that line, that edge hardens, you know, you can go back in and... Now, is this any kind of recognizable thing? No. Is it meant to be? No. It's me using up a supply, laying some groundwork that could end up being a background. Oh, my brush is dry. End up being a background color. You can see how by doing splatters with this round brush, I'm getting a totally different look than I did with the fan brush. It could be that when this is dried, maybe this becomes the perfect starting point for, here's a little droplet of water, and here, perfect starting point for some doodling. Now, if this was really a piece of art, I would have stretched it and mounted it so that you don't end up with the curvature. And again, because I'm just using this one color, it's not going to be particularly exciting. You know, ranks up there with watching grass grow and paint dry. Literally paint dry. But a person, especially if you're just starting out, and I wouldn't call myself proficient, because painting with watercolor, well, painting period, you know, it's like use it or lose it kind of thing. A person can get very rusty very quickly. So it is critical to, if you want to call yourself a watercolorist, you know, to do it often, daily perhaps. It is an unpredictable art medium. Medium, I guess. And you really you know, sometimes you spend more time praying for a happy accident or a way to mitigate something that you think went wrong than to... And again, if I was doing this, get growing. Let's see what happens if I use this better paper. Now there will, because I had glued down images, this paper should react differently than this paper. Let's see what happens if we do something dry. Now, the way I remember which is cold press and which is hot press watercolor paper, and I know all of you people who love to iron like I do will identify with this. Hot press paper, I equate to a hot iron. So kind of sizzling hot means that it would smooth out the surface and the wrinkles more so than a cooler iron. So the hot press paper is the smoother one. Cold press has that more pronounced tooth to the paper. So essentially, I'm just playing here. There's far more absorption going on here than there is here. You can see that, you know, this is kind of sitting on the surface of the paper. It's pooling in these low spots, which again, when it dries, that could be a very desirable effect. Now, one thing I didn't do is pre-wet an area. Oh, that's where I had, sorry, that's where I had glue residue. And again, this, you know, this stuff is what it is. It's not pretending to be pigment. It's thin, obviously, fairly dilute, I guess. I don't know if that was a typical Hazel thing where I was trying to stretch it a little further. So as I'm going over the area where there's some lumps and whatever, because I had something glued in that corner, it's making some interesting marks there. Now this, of course, looks different as well because of the underlying color. So as that red is drying, we get that purple, that mauve coming through, and what I would call like a blush or a peach or a really light salmon color appearing as well. So that is going to make for a more interesting result than doing this on a, you know, a straight white piece of paper. Let me wet something more over here where the blue is. Again, that has a hard edge because I put it on dry paper. This will be more diffuse because it can follow. It will take on, it will go, you know, how we sometimes say that, well, about people, but it's true with water as well, whether you've got a flood in your kitchen or flood waters from a weather event. Water will take the path of least resistance. I like that. Now that's probably not dry, so I won't get any closer to it. That is why people typically have a hair dryer or a heat gun or something on the go while using watercolor, because of course if you tend to be the impatient sort, well, that kind of bled, so whatever I used there was obviously not permanent either. If you're the impatient sort, you'll keep, maybe like I'm doing here, you'll keep working it, touching it, bugging it, to within an inch of its life, instead of taking the time or having the patience to let it dry and then seeing what you might get by working that way. I don't know how long I've been at this, but I should probably begin winding this down. 32 minutes. Okay, I find it still almost impossible to believe that those, whoops, I bumped the paper. Now they become a little oblong, still have not moved. So I'm going to find a safe place for that to dry in peace. Let me do that right now so that I can dry in peace. And I will show you that in follow-up Friday. Here, okay, obviously I sprayed and sprayed and sprayed. So again, it's like we build up layers in tags or collage or when we're embellishing. Likewise, we are doing that with paint. Now what is going on here? Whoa. Oh, I guess that was just an air bubble. But some of the, now that what I would call that peachy color is starting to emerge. So we'll see what happens with that one as well. Another safe place over here. Now this, and of course, once a watercolor painting has been completed, it is possible to flatten it by, you know, ironing it. And again, I think I should, and you know, I thought that, oh, it's a tiny little bottle of ink. I'll be able to use that, no problem. Let's see what happens if I just drag this fan brush across here. You can see I didn't do that very straight. Not that we would want me to. Oh, I guess the disadvantage to this is that I disturbed those dots that were thick and still you know, little puddles of color. This is definitely adding another look. It's like a stray type, you know, like a wallpaper or something. Whoa. Can't very well straighten that out now. And again, the imperfection of the stripes presumably adds interest and charm. So that helps with the white background, doesn't it? You know what my impulse is here. Crosshatch, go the other way. And since I'm trying to use this up, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, because those center bristles clump together more than the others, it's almost like I'm making a plaid of some sort. And in case somebody in your life is saying, so what did you do today? I played with paper and color. And I guess instead of feeling guilty, we should feel darn proud of ourselves. Because maybe they're wound very tight with the stress of their... Look at how nice this is turning out. I mean, well, I think it is anyway. Honestly, whoops, isn't that just a kind of a sweet little plaid? So, okay, stop. Get a grip and stop. And you can see, look how it's just, that rivulet of liquid is just clinging to the edge of the page. So it's going to dry darker there, of course. So I'm going to leave that alone. Let's revisit this and see what happened. Okay, this is still, let's rinse this. This is still, you can see glue blobs there, and here's some paper that was stuck to it. But you can see there's far less distortion in the paper because this is so much heavier. I like where this, now these more intense circles were where I went in dry. Now this, okay, if you touch something and it feels cool to the touch, it's still not dry. However, why can't I overlay another circle like a Venn drawing, Venn diagram? Now, because that was kind of dry, it should not really get the furry edges. It should stay fairly dry, sharp. Here it has bled a little more because this is clearly wetter. That bled into there. Okay, what about if I do a little guy here? Go very close, but don't touch. I have to say, I'm kind of amazed at this color. And obviously, I didn't plan on this. I just... And just leaving those little random, I don't know, highlights, specks of white, preserving some of the white, automatically adds interest, because that is random. That no one could duplicate that in exactly that way. Now it seems like I've run out of paper. Maybe I should try to make this more circular, since circles are what is going on here. And this needs to be a little rounded. I have to say, I'm not sure what you guys think. See, I want to do something there, but it's going to all blur together. So, control, maturity, just wait, be patient. I have enjoyed this. Now, I also don't remember what I would have. I wonder if that might be a watercolor pencil that I used to make the frame around. So that's the other thing I could do when this is dry, is go back in with my Crayon Dash crayons or a water-soluble pencil. Not the Stabilo All, but a colored water-soluble pencil. So let's just say that you will be seeing these things again, because I want to see the possibilities. Guess I will put this back in here. Oh my goodness. Look how much I don't even know if I use 1/4 of an inch. I might have to actually dye some paper, because at this rate, it'll never be finished. And it's a little scary to think that I also have 2 large spray bottles in the fridge. I wonder what's in them. It could be a science experiment of sorts. One might, I don't think it's coffee. I will rinse all this stuff out. And one could very well be, oh my goodness, could it be blueberry? See, and we didn't really change this a great deal, but there's a lot happening here already, so maybe this would benefit from some black acrylic splatters. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop there. Maybe I'll put on a hazmat suit and go check out what else is in the fridge. I don't buy broccoli anymore because it doesn't seem to agree with me, although all the health benefits are certainly there. I know that in the past, it was probably one of those things where I bought broccoli because it was the right thing to do. Anyway, have you ever lost track of broccoli in your fridge and then discovered it when it was a little far gone? There is nothing quite as revolting as that smell. Anyway, so, okay, I'm going to check my fridge, and might I suggest you check yours as well? Anyway, we will see you in the next one. Bye.